Hey everybody, happy Monday, or whatever day you're watching this. We have a couple of decks that you can play that are below 5,000 dusts, above 50% win rate, bronze through gold. I had to remember all this, and I say it weekly. It's really weird. Getting into the meta right now, it's almost the same thing as last week. Paladin, Hunter, Warlock, Warriors bringing up the rear. Warrior really has, in the higher rank ladders, just the normal Reno Warrior that we've been talking about back and forth for a while now. Priest has a couple of things, but Priest is super expensive, and Shaman is all the way down on the bottom. If you haven't seen it, I put a new video all about Shaman you might be able to watch and have fun laughing at, because it is kind of funny. We're going to go over a couple of decks. Like I said, we're going to get right into it too. We're not even going to talk about any of the classes right now, okay? Unholy Death Knight is the first one we're going to talk about. We've talked about this one briefly before. This is exactly what individuals are playing right now if they have no dust. This is a zero-cost deck for you to be able to play. It's at a 56.5% win rate. It has Body Bagger. We know what Body Bagger is going to do. Body Bagger is trying to grab corpses. Mermy, that's reborn. You want to go ahead and have something quickly on board while you're not able to use your hero power. Use this on turn 1. Plagued Grain. We're going to gain corpses, and then you shuffle those crates into your deck to summon a 2/2 undead when drawn. We like corpses this time. Skeletal Sidekick. Give a friendly undead +2 attack. You could use this for one of your minions on board, or you could also use this for the hero power at the time to hit your opponent or another opponent's on the board, and you'll be good. You'll be good. Let's see. Battlefield Necromancer. At the end of your turn, raise a corpse as a 1/3 Risen Footman with Taunt. That is the reason why you want to keep on grabbing those corpses. This one's going to give you maybe 1 or 2 turns, depending on who you're fighting against, but it is a good card that I have been liking mostly for a couple of the decks I've just been trying out for Death Knight. It's good. It's a good deck. Good card, excuse me. Cult Neophyte. Your opponent's spells cost 1 more next turn. We know we like this. We know why we like this. It just gives your opponent some thinking they have to do. Hey, I can't play this. I can't play this. So 1 extra mana each turn. You have 2 of them in your hand. Let's go. Let's go. Necrotic Mortician. Battlecry. If a friendly undead died after your last turn, discover an Unholy Rune card. You want this. It's easy to do. It's easy to pop this one off. You're going to have a lot of small minions that are going to be fighting for, you know, their lives, and they're going to die. So you'll be able to use this pretty easily and grab that Unholy Rune card. Anti-Magic Shell. Give your minions +1/+1 and elusive. This one, you don't need any question on this of what it's going to do. Just make sure that you're using this with, you know, several things on the board, because it'd be silly for you to just do this for a 1/1. It's silly. Chill Fallen Baron, some card draw. It's a 2/2 on board. Grave Strength. Give your minions +1 attack. Spend 5 corpses to give them +3 instead. You're going to want to make sure you have several things on board for this. Like I said, you don't want to put yourself in the position to where you're utilizing these with only 2 minions on the board. It's just silly to do that, but you're going to have corpses. This deck is really easy for you to grab corpses. Army of the Dead. Raise up to 5 corpses as 2/2 Risen Ghouls with Rush. So that, and then maybe Grave Strength. There's a lot that you can do in the later turns. Just start building corpses. Okay, Army of the Dead, we already talked about that one. Corpse Bride, spend up to 10 corpses to summon a Risen Groom with Taunt, that much health and attack. Exactly what we just talked about. We've been talking about this. Are you sensing the trend here? Talon Fordring, Taunt, Divine Shield, draw your highest cost minion. And your highest cost minion is going to be one of these 2 bad boys. No Muncher, Taunt, Lifesteal. At the end of your turn, attack the lowest health enemy. We like this card. This card is very good. It's also Stitch Giant. Costs 1 less for each corpse you've spent this game. This should be very easy for you to put out very quickly because of the amount of corpses you're getting and then spending, what have you. And then Scourge. Scourge is good for this deck. Scourge is really good. Fill your board with random undead. It's going to be a mixture. You're going to get some good ones, you're going to get some bad ones, you know how it is. But the deck is just pretty much just building up those corpses and putting your minions out, buffing those minions, and then punching your opponent in the face until you win. If you don't have any dust, this is the deck to be playing right now. Bronze through gold, it has a positive win rate. It will get you up to around gold, and then you'll start having some trouble. It's something to definitely give a shot. Okay, next up, Handbuff Paladin. And Handbuff Paladin is 720 dust with a 61% win rate. It's a little different than the last time we talked about. So this one has air guitars this time. So give your weapon +1 durability. You'll want that. It's no problem. Righteous Protector, we know what Righteous Protector does. Taunt, Divine Shield, it gives your opponent something to do in the quick turns. And then Scarab Keychain, this has been in and out of Handbuff Paladin for a little while now. And this is just Discover a 2-cost card. It's Discover, so you get to pick one of 3. It could be something good. It might be, one of something bad. Just use it as a utility. What can I use right now? If they're all garbage, just use something for later on. South Sea Deckhand has charge while you have a weapon equipped. Remember this, we're talking about durability of the weapon. With Air Guitarist, we'll want to use that. Gold Panner. At the end of your turn, draw a card. Card draw is good. Don't expect this one to last too long. It will not. It will be something that your opponent goes after right away, unless they just think that they're too aggro and they have no problem beating you, and then you have some time with this one. But it's just going to help you get cards in your hand. Grime Street Outfitter. This is the name of the game for this specific deck. Give all minions in your hand +1/+1. You want to use this when you have a bunch of minions in your hand, obviously. I like doing this when I have a Righteous Protector, something that has a beefier, Taunt, Divine Shield, what have you, but just make sure you're throwing out something. Instrument Tech, draw a weapon. We like the weapon. We want the weapon. The weapon's going to be good for us. Shroomscavate. Give a minion Devised Shield and excavate a treasure. Does anybody remember that this used to be Wind Fury? It's kind of a bummer that it's not Wind Fury anymore, but it's fine. This will be helpful. You'll be able to use this not only to get your excavating of the treasure out, but you'll also be able to give yourself, any one of your minions could have a Divine Shield. So if you want to hit one of your opponent's minions on board, then you're not killing that minion, and it's still on board on your side. So it's a good card. Acolyte of Pain. Whenever the minion takes damage, draw a card. It's simple. It's easy. It's card draw. Okay. Muscleatron. Give all minions in your hand +1/+1, and then if you forge it, it's +2/+2. I always try to mulligan for the forge cards, especially like this. You'll be able to forge it on turn, throw it out on 3. If you have a bunch of stuff in the hand, that is a very good hand for you. Outfit Tailor. Battlecry. Give a friendly minion attack and health equal to this minion's. So this is another one. You can mulligan this one. You can mulligan this one and just keep on buffing it, and then just use it as needed. Painter's Virtue. So Painter's Virtue is the weapon that you're looking for, okay? Painter's Virtue has lifesteal. After your hero attacks, get all minions in your hand +1/+1. It helps with card draw. So I love the fact that it's also lifesteal. Air Guitarist will give it +1 durability as needed, and you have 2 of these, so you'll be able to keep yourself alive a little bit longer, as well as you're buffing your minions. And really, the snake that destroys your weapon is prevalent, but not as prevalent as it used to be, so you should be able to keep these a little bit longer. Tigress Plushie. This one is perfect. It's got the miniature eyes, it's Rush, Lifesteal, Divine Shield, so it gives you a little bit of health, especially if you buffed it. You have the opportunity of having that mini one on there, which is a 1 mana, 1/1. You can buff that as well, so there's a lot of things that you can do with this and keep yourself alive longer, while also killing a minion on your opponent's board. Leroy, we know what Leroy is, Leroy can be put anywhere into your hand, and then just wait until that last turn right when they're at health, and then listen, it's buffed. You've buffed it a bunch of times. It just smacks them right in the face, or it's charged. Don't worry about the 1/1 whelps that are going to go on your opponent's board, because hopefully by the time you're using this, you're winning the game right then and there. Warsong Grunt. This card is super fun. So it's a rush, and after this attacks and kills a minion, it may attack again. So this is another one. There's not one card in here that you do not want to buff, and that's the name of the game. Put as much cool cards as you can in your hand, use all the utility to buff these cards, and then just go nuts. Same with Nomelia, the safe pilot. It's a rush, and then it also damages minions next to whoever this attacks. The death rattle is deal 2 damage to all enemies, so this can do some nutty things as well. And then listen, if you buff this, don't worry about the deal 2 damage to all enemies right then and there, because whatever you hit, it's also going to hit the other 2 minions. So buff this one as well. There's, like I said, there's not one card in here that could not benefit from a buff. Like maybe Air Guitarist. Maybe I could see Air Guitarist being, oh, it doesn't matter if it buffs, but it's just still something oppressive on the board for your opponent to take care of. This deck is very easy to pilot. It's very easy to play. It's very fun. There are Paladin decks right now that are much higher than Bronze through Gold. So if you have less than 1,000 dust, you can go ahead and craft this pretty easily. And it is a fun deck. Let's go into one more. Let's talk about Hybrid Druid. And Hybrid Druid we've also talked a little bit about. I'm going to check as I'm going through this to see if there's anything different. I don't see there being anything different right now since the last time we talked about it, but Hybrid is a hero power druid as well as a dragon druid, and that's why they call it hybrid. So it's the best of both worlds. We have Gift Wrap Whelp, and what would we do with this? Listen, if you're holding a dragon, give it and this minion +1/+1. It's 1 mana. This is a little bit of a broken card. In Dragon Druid, it works amazingly well. It just, gives your minions a lot more, your dragon minions, a lot more attack and health. You've got Magical Dollhouse, which is a location, gains spell damage +1 this turn only. Malfurion's Gift, this one is a utility based on what you're dealing with, what you have to deal with coming up, and what you have to deal with for the game winning turns. So just, keep this in your hand and just see where you need it. You might not even need it at all with how good this deck is. Peaceful Piper, draw a beast or discover one. It's either or, depending on what you want to do. You have beasts in the deck. One of the things is Groovy Cat. Battlecry and Death Rattle is your hero power, gives your hero 1 more attack this game. So you might need this, you might not find it, or you've already done this and you don't need to worry about that and you're looking for something else. You can use that way. Bottomless Toy Chest, discover a card from your deck. If you have spell damage, copy it. So this is where the Dollhouse runs into. Dollhouse, hit the spell damage, and then you go through and you discover a card from your deck and then just copy it. So you can have an extra card as needed, and all of these cards are really good, so you should be fine finding something out of the 3 options. We talked about Groovy Cat already. You want to go ahead and get your attack as much as possible. For your hero power, Splish Splash Whelp is, if you're holding a dragon, gain an empty mana crystal. We like empty mana crystals. Just make sure you're holding a dragon so it pops off. You'll know what's gonna happen. We have 2 swipes, which is deal 4 damage to an enemy and then 1 damage to all the other enemies. We've seen this before. We know what this does. It's utility based on what you need. Take to the Skies. This is draw 2 dragons and give them +1/+1. So if you don't have any dragons in hand, you have this. Boom, now you have dragons in your hand. Trog Gem Tosser. When I first saw this, I've mentioned this probably once before, I thought it was just silly. I thought it was ridiculous, but it's a good card. So it's deal 1 damage to a random enemy for each of your mana crystals. Because you have the ability to grab an extra mana crystal here or there, it's very easy for you to get a high-powered damage if you need to just kill something on board real quick. It's a 3/2 for 3 mana. It's a good card. Chia Drake, miniaturize, so it'll give you a 1 mana 1/1, as well as choose 1, gain spell damage +1, or draw a spell. So one of the 2 things that you'd want to work on, depending on if you have the Dollhouse location or not. Just use it, as you see fit. Desert Nest Matron, the taunt and battle cries, if you're holding a dragon, refresh more mana crystals, 4 mana crystals. So this is just a free card that you're throwing out. And if you are holding a dragon, that's how it's going to be a free card that you just throw out, keep on going and going and going. Spread the word. Draw 2 cards. Cost 1 less for each attack your hero has. You're going to have a lot of attack. You're already building on with that Groovy Cat, and it's good to go. Woodland Wonders. Summon 2 1/5 beetles with taunt. Cost 3 less if you have spell damage. So that's what the spell damage is for as well. Zilliax is in here. Zilliax is everywhere. You've seen it. I don't have to tell you this. This is the one card that you should have crafted when it first came out, and this card will be most prevalent throughout the rest of the time it's in standard. This one is using your other minions have +1/+1, which is a smart thing, and then also costs 1 less for each minion in play. So if you have a bunch of stuff on the board, you can go ahead and make this cost less, and it gives everybody 1/1. And then Phi, the Setting Sun. Rush, Lifesteal, Taunt, costs 1 less for each dragon you've summoned this game. This is going to be used at the end of the turns and the end of the game, but this is super, super good. It's a 12 health taunt. It's no-brainer. Plus the fact it has Lifesteal. So unless they're silencing this thing, or unless they're sitting there doing something, destroy a minion or what have you, this one's going to be a problem for your opponent. So again, this is a 61.1% win rate. It's very easy to pilot. If you have this deck, and I've said this before, I apologize for continuing the conversation this way and repeating myself, but you have the ability to swapping out to make this like a hero power druid or a dragon druid. You're on the right track. So with this deck, you have the options of creating 2 types of decks, and both of them are pretty strong in the ladder right now. And then the last deck we're going to talk about, even though we're not talking about Reno Warrior, because that's really a very expensive deck, also on the ladder right now is Bomb Warrior. So this is 4,840 dust with a overall win rate of 52.6%. And this is all about throwing bombs in your opponent's hand. It's not like it used to be. It used to be much, much more Bomb Warrior than this. But the idea is this. The safety expert is going to shuffle 3 bombs into your opponent's deck. The opponent is, when they draw that card, it hits them for 5 damage in the face. So essentially, and I'm going to break this down as easily as possible. Essentially, what you need to do is just keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive until you get to the later end turns of the games, and you can go ahead and you can grab, the Zilliax and Safety Expert and run them back again with Inventor Boom. And there's ways of keeping yourself safe by, you'd be able to use Safety Goggles. So listen, it gains 6 armor, 0 if you don't have any armor. Shield Block, which is gain 6 armor and draw a card. Aftershocks that could, kill your opponents. You got Blade Storm, Bash. A lot of these essential cards are exactly what's in the Reno Warrior. And Reno Warrior is essentially, keeping yourself alive until you're able to grab the Bran and all those other crazy busted things at the end of the game. Town Crier will grab you a rush minion from your deck so you can use it when you need it. You have Boom Wrench, which is, listen, Boom Wrench is awesome. Keep this one. The death rattle is trigger the death rattle of a random friendly mech, and the random friendly mechs are the testing dummy, which is death rattle, deal 8 damage randomly split across all enemies. Or you have, like I said, the Safety Expert, which shuffles 3 bombs into your opponent's deck. And then you can, like I said, do it all over again with Inventor Boom, which is resurrect 2 friendly mechs that cost 5 or more. They immediately attack random enemies. Deck's pretty fun. It's not as fun, in my opinion, as the Reno Warrior. I love that deck. It's a fun deck. Yeah, it's a little janky. Maybe it should have not been created, but I still like it. And this one is also fun too. So this one's got a 52.6% win rate. I don't think it'll get you too crazy far once you start hitting the gold ranks, but it's something to definitely try if you like fun decks and you have some of these cards already. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, I'm looking at all of the cards that came out during the mini set. and I'm not seeing a lot of cards that are being used. I think the biggest one is like Product 9 finally got some love. Bargain Bin is starting to get some movement, so those things. But man, I mean, look at the play rates of these. I don't see this, well, not even play rates, but, you know, in percentage of decks. There's not a lot of these mini set cards being played. Safety Expert's in there, so, you know, we've seen a few of these that we've talked about this evening. Not many, though. Not many at all. It's just something to look at, to be like, hey, was the mini set impactful? I don't think that this mini set has been as impactful as other mini sets, but, you know, we still have time. You know, a lot of these mini sets could potentially be very useful for us in the new set, the new expansion that's going to be discussed in a couple of weeks and coming out in like, you know, a month and a half or so. We know it's coming out around July 23rd or what have you, based on what we saw in the shop. So yeah, some of these might be good. I wanted to do a deck or a video about cards that you should be dusting, or cards that are safe to dust, but I'm nervous to do that right now because some of these cards I just have a feeling, yeah, they're not be playing now, but that doesn't mean anything about the future. You know, they've already made these cards when they started working on the next set, so they have some things in mind, and I just don't want to do that. But listen, I gave you 4 decks. Those 4 decks should help you climb, help you get some wins, help you get your card back. And listen, the set, I mean, excuse me, the ladder just reset like yesterday or the day before, so it's probably time to get cracking again. Get as far as you can on the ladder so you can get all those star bonuses next month. I've rambled enough. I've talked too much about Hearthstone today, so thanks, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next video.